So, good morning, students. Today we see the database management system. Database, first we must know what is meant by data. Then we have to know what is meant by database, then management, then system. So, first we see what is meant by data. So, data is a raw fact or information. Whenever the data is called a data, whenever we are used for some purpose, then the data is called a data. For example, we can have a basic pay in the employee information system. We are calculating the HRA, DAC, then basic pay as a data. Otherwise, data is a raw fact or information. Or we can have mark, student mark. We can calculate average total sum, then mark as a data. Otherwise, mark as a raw fact or information. So this is nothing but data. So data is a, whenever we use for some purpose, then the data is called a data. Otherwise, data is a raw fact or information. Then we move on to database. So first we know that, so the data is nothing but we have a field. So field and record and file and DB, database. So field is nothing but, for example, your student register number. So is a field. Your one student information is a record. Your one class information as a file. Or one college information as a database. So like you can go for employee information. So the employee ID is a field. One employee information in the company we have as a record. So one particular marketing division or HR division employees we have it as a file. So one company whole information we call it as a database. So we know, so we must know this, what is my data, what is my database. Then we have to move on to management. So here managing the men. So what is a men? Men is nothing but database. So how to manage the database? So due to some accident the data can be corrupted or the data can be removed or some unauthorized person the data can be hacked. So how to protect the data, how to securing the data. So we have studied the data management. So this is nothing but management. Then finally we can go for system. What is meant by system? System is something what we tell it as marketing information system or hotel management system or highway reservation system. So hospital management system. What is meant by system? System is something but generally we are giving some input, okay, and do some process and get some output. Depends upon the criteria of the information. For example, you can take it as a railway reservation system. For example, I can give us a passenger information, passenger name, passenger date of birth, and a source, destination, everything is give us an input. And if the ticket is available or not, they're checking this process. If the ticket is available, you go the gateway and do the payment process. The process is finished, then finally you can get in the output of the ticket. So this is nothing but system. So data is a raw fact or information, database is a collection of files, management is a securing the data, and system is nothing but give some input, do some process, get some output, depends upon the criteria of the information. So now DBMS is nothing but collection of interrelated data. Collection of interrelated data. Okay. So next we move on to the concepts. Before moving to concepts, so what are the data? You must know the data. Only data is raw fact information. Then the data have so many facts are there. So many definitions are there. You must see associated with the data. What are the concepts associated with the data? So we can see one by one. First one is a data set. Data set is nothing but collection of data about one particular information. For example, medical data set. So the collecting the one patient information we are storing in one particular thing. Any analysis can be done, we can getting through some data set. So this is a collection of data. Then data types. Data types is nothing but what is a type of data. So it is a integer data or string or character or floating point numbers. For example, numeric and string. Numeric is something that we can calculate as a integer. The integer is nothing but whole number and float is nothing but decimal point. And here character. And in DBMS we are using the, you see, later we see the SQL, we are using the one more data types called varchar. So varchar is, what is the difference between character and varchar? For example, we are declared as a name as character of 10 or varchar of 10. Same thing. So here, if you using the name as a ROM, the 7 characters should be wasted. But here, the 7 characters can be used for the next field. That's why we can move using the varchar data types. So this is about the data types. Data type is nothing but what is the type of data? It's a numeric data or string data. Numeric data is nothing but integer and float, and string is nothing but character only, or we can have as a varchar also. Okay. Next, we can move on to structured data. Structured data or unstructured data, semi-structured data. So these are the 3 classification of data. Structured data is nothing but there is a logical schema or relation. We call it as a relation or table or schema. That is nothing but row and column. For example, employee number, e-name, basic pay. So this is called as a structured data. Unstructured data is nothing but, so we can collect the data through the some set of social media. For example, we can take it as a social media, WhatsApp or Twitter. Okay, so these are the data you can collect. The data, for example, you can have any one opinion about one particular government order or something, government order. So everybody will give the different opinions. So we can collect the data from the WhatsApp or Twitter. So that is called as unstructured data. And semi-structured data is something but that is called partially structured or partially unstructured. So partially there should be have some logical things, and partially we have a unstructured data. So these are the another types of information, the 3 different types of data: structured, unstructured and semi-structured data. Next we move on to, we have another 2 main different types of data is qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data and quantitative data. So qualitative, what is it qualitative? That is something but, so descriptive data, okay, that is by numerical data. And quantitative is something but, so there is a quantity, how much weight, how much height. So these are nothing but 2 different types of data, qualitative and quantitative data. These are another parts of data. Next, data integration is nothing but any complexity of the project, the software can be divided into number of modules. Okay, or the task can be divided into number of subtasks. For example, your task is, main task can be divided into T1, T2 and T3. So this is called as each and every module can be done by the different teams. Team A or team B or team C. So we are testing the each module, that is called as a unit testing, and we can finally all these things are integrated, we can call it as through integration testing. So that's why we can call it as a, in order to avoiding the complexity of the data, the task can be divided into number of subtasks, and finally all the things can be merged to be integrated. It is called data integration. This concept of data integration. Next, data privacy. Data privacy is something but, so the data cannot be known by the another user. Okay, so that is something but unauthorized users cannot be access the data. Only the authorized person will know the data. That is why you can go for data privacy. And next one is data security. How to securing the data? So due to some accident, the data can be corrupted. How to protect the data? So usually we can give us username or password. So many things are, so many ways to protect the data. So we have a data security. In this we are using that some algorithm, encryption decryption algorithms. Okay, so for example, you are typing an email, you are typing a username and password is replaced by double star star star. That is nothing but encryption decryption. And in army they are using some code words. So that code word can be only known between the only two persons. So the army persons only between the two army persons know only the particular information. That is a secret. So that is nothing but data security. Then the data dictionary. Data dictionary is nothing but data about the data. Data about the data. Data about the data. For example, you can go for a patient data, patient information. So patient diseases. What is a disease? What is the type of disease? When it is, what is the symptoms of the disease? Whole information. The entire disease information will be given by this data dictionary. Data about the data. Then we move on to data base. Already we have seen. And then data isolation. So it is only for some isolating the data. So for example, in organization, so we have so many department is there. So marketing department, finance department. In order to avoid the complexity of the work, so the finance related activities can be grouped together, and the finance related forming a department called financial department. So the financial data can be maintained. So that is called data isolation of financial data in the organization. That is called data isolation. And then data replication. Data replication is nothing but so copy of the data. For example, we have some of the accident data can be corrupted. So we can have to take a backup or copy. So that is called backup or copy. Replication is nothing but copy of the data. And data, that is the same thing for data redundancy. Data redundancy is nothing but repeating of data items. For example, you can consider the table EMP, and for example, you can go for the table EMP and EMP1. For example, you take it as a EMP table and EMP1 table. So here also employee ID, employee name and basic pay. So here also employee ID, some personal information, employee hobby. This employee ID can be repeated again and again in all the tables. So that is how to avoid that repeating of data items. That's why we can see the procedure called normalization. We can see in the later. So how to do the normalization procedure. So that is called data redundancy. Data redundancy is nothing but repetition of data items. Then data inheritance. So inherited the data. Data inheritance. Here the parent and child. So we have a parent and we have a child. So how to inherit the properties of the data. So the same properties or behavior can be come from the parent. Here we are using the concept called foreign key in the DBMS. Foreign key. Foreign key is nothing but the references. Okay. So if we can see example, for example, employee and employee 1, the two table. Here also employee ID, e-name and basic pay. Here also employee ID and employee hobby. Okay. So here this employee ID can act as a primary key for this EMP table. This employee ID can act as a primary key for this EMP1 table. But this employee ID can act as a foreign key because it's come from the parent table. It references the EMP table. So that is called data in the inheritance. So inherit the properties of the parent. Next, data mining. Data mining is nothing but discovery of the information. Driven discovery process. Driven discovery process. So we are mining the data. For example, you can go for the supermarket. So whenever we have find the paste items, near the paste item they have a related to the brush, toothbrush. Okay, like that. So the similar items can be grouped together in the supermarket. They can be easily sold in the supermarket. The customers easily identified. So that is called mining of data. How to in-depth the data can be analyzed. That is called data mining. Then we can go for a data warehousing. So data warehousing is nothing but, so we have storing the data. So where we are storing the data, for example, so we can take it as a Vivek and Co. All the washing machine or refrigerator, TVs, everything we store it in a particular place. So we have different branches in the Chennai. So they have to, whenever they needed for the branch, so they can be transported to the all the different branches to AC, washing machine, everything. So they dump all the things in the one particular place called store. That is called as a data warehousing. So where all the data can be stored in the one particular place. That is called data warehousing. So here another concept called data mart. Data mart is nothing but, so when we have so many data can be stored in the data warehousing. So I want to retrieve the one particular information. So for example, in organization, so finance information I need. So and system information I need, or what are the employee information I need. So that is the separate, each one is called as a data mart. So the finance information is one data mart, system information data mart, employee information is one data mart. So this is called data mart. And then we can move on to data quality and DBA, database administrator. So data quality is something but, so how the data can be measured. So before that you know that concept called data cleaning. You must know data cleaning. Data cleaning is something bad. So data accuracy, the data can be data cleaning and data accuracy. So data accuracy nothing but we cannot miss any data. Okay, so that is a complete data, correct data, that is called data cleaning. So the process of data cleaning is over, automatically the data quality can be occur. So the quality of the data, the users can be wanted the correct data. So there should be very accurate data and correct data. And database administrator is something but, so the admin can be giving the permission to the various users. So for example, read permission or write permission or read-write permission. Okay, there are three things we are normally we see. That is a thing, but unauthorized person cannot be accessing the informations. So whenever we need a request from the users, the DBA will allocating the particular permission to the given to the permission to the users. So that is called DBA, database administrator. Then data constraints. Data constraints. Constraint is something but we have a entity relationship constraints, entity relationship constraints, and referential integrity constraints. Referential integrity constraints. So there is something but entity is something but primary key. So that is, what is in the primary key? So whenever the data can be in unique, okay. So for example, so the employee ID or student register number or bank in account number. So these are all the primary key. So we can creating a constraint. For example, we can creating a table. Later we see in the SQL. First you are creating a table without constraint. So if you after that I want to create a constraint, we can using the alter command. We can creating a constraints. So that is called entity relationship constraint, nothing but primary key. Referential integrity is nothing but foreign key. Now only we see this how the foreign key can be accessed. There is a how to references from the parent table to the child table. So that is called data constraints. So these are the things come under data constraints, and then we move on to data science. Data science is something but how to measure the original data. Okay, so that is something but we have a, so we have different types of data. First one is we call it as a categorical data or categorical data. Okay, so the categorical data is grouped together. So that is, for example, we can have a color, red color, blue color, like that. Okay, or we can move on to gender, male or female. Like that, this is called categorical data. Then data ordinal. Data ordinal is nothing but ordinal of data. Data measurement is data ordinal. Ordinal is nothing but, for example, you have the feedback. We are collecting the feedback from the employees, the satisfied or consumers, satisfied or neutral or unsatisfied. It is called ordinal data. We are collecting the different types of, these are the options you can give. Okay, customer satisfaction. And then data interval. Data interval is nothing but, so interval between the data. So that is, for example, we have a student mark 50 to 60 or 50 to 100 or 100 to 150, like that. That is called data interval. And then data ratio data. That is also the some meaningful data. For example, weight of the person or age of the person. So ordinal data, categorical data, interval data, ratio data. So these are the 4 different measurements in data science. So these are the data science. Then we move on to data. So these are all the different types of data. So these, all those things we must know, understand that what is to be data. So the various classification of the one word called data. So we have see so many things. So the data integration, data isolation, data migration, data dependency. Data dependency, we have a logical data independence, physical data independence. There are 2 different category, logical data and physical data. So logical data independence is nothing but, without changing the physical structure of the data, we are modifying the logic. What is mean logic? Logic is nothing but idea. Okay. For example, the one product can be given to the 5 different salesmen. So the salesman A and B and C, like D and E. So the 5 different salesmen, our aim is the product can be converted into cash. So the every salesman, to how to convince the people to selling the particular product. So that's nothing but logic or idea. Okay. So the different ways of approaching the people. So that is called, for example, we can take a problem, we can have a solution. So the every user have a different way to solve the particular problem. That is what is the different ways of we giving a solution. That is called as a logic or data. So without changing the physical structure of the data, that is called logical data independence. And physical data independence nothing but, without changing the any logical structure of the data, we are modifying the physical thing. Physical thing nothing but storage, the storage or something. So that is called as a data independence. And data migration, data independence, data redundancy, data replication, data mining, data warehousing. So these are so many things we have come under these data concepts. Then we move on to the database management system in the data models. So data models, we have a conceptual data model and physical data model, logical data model. So we see in the next class. So these called as a different types of data models. Then we can go for to SQL, standard structured query language.